What's going on, everybody? I'm over here with Fox RedSky and company. What do we got going on, Fox?
Oh my goodness, this is another beautiful episode here on Holistic Love, where we are really trying to get to the meat of things. Like, we're really trying to unearth why we have all the problems we do in our current dating model, why we are not, there's more unhappiness and loneliness in the world, and how we can reach that place of healthy connections, self-actualization. And it really starts with the work we have to do, like loving ourselves. But the thing is, we are worthy of healthy love. We are worthy of something that is clear and beautiful. And so, y'all know me. I'm Fox RedSky. I am the astrologer, your cosmic matchmaker, and I have with you some amazing, beautiful, intelligent, wonderful souls here that I'm just incredibly lucky to talk to. And they're just going to go around real quick and introduce themselves.
Well, thank you, Fox. Pardon me. I'm Michael, and I am definitely a victim. Just kidding.
Oh, jeez.
Not at all.
Tell us a little about what you do and how everything, what your passion is,
What my passion is. My passion, well, to seek, why am I here?
Yes,
it's connection, connection. That's what it's all about, I believe. I've tried outwardly, I've tried to attract community through all kinds of false pretenses. Amount of money I make, kind of car I drive, just superficial stuff. And then I began to get vulnerable, and it was uncomfortable. But I think it's quality over quantity.
Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
And Kaitlynn, just give us a little bio and tell us, a little bit about yourself and your background.
My name is Kaitlynn Clay. I'm from San Antonio, Texas, and I am also here to make connection, I would say. I'm not a victim.
Oh.
I'm a survivor. But I'm just here to share what experiences I have and be of service any way I can to try to help other people reach the same place I'm at.
There you go.
Oh, and the beautiful, we've had her on the show before, y'all guys. I'm sure y'all remember her in the last episode, but we have her again.
Yay!
We have her again.
Yay!
Oh my God.
I am Amiee Perkins, and I am in a new journey right now of trying to help people discover their self-worth and embrace their self-worth so that they can enjoy all facets of their life: career, love, friendships, hobbies, their passions, whatever it is. I was in the adult industry for about 20 years, so some people know me from magazine work, video work, stuff of that nature. But now, in the season of my life, I'm looking to really delve in with myself and my friends and figure out why we do the things we do and why we end up the way we do and the people we choose, and to grow and love and learn and share.
Right on. We appreciate all y'all for being here, man.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And
This is going to be a big one.
I know, it's exciting.
yeah,
it
so
is.
It's going to be intense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm never nervous, and I'm nervous.
I know. I don't want to cry. Don't
It
make me
might be the
cry.
lady.
No, it's okay. It's okay if you do. It's okay if you do.
So something that's so important, you guys, is that allowing, we're going to be very vulnerable with you. We're also in the process, and what we're trying to do is shine light on these subjects and bring attention to it, because like, we're all in this together. Like, there is no you versus me. It's like, it's all this way for everything. And we're really, so the topic today and what we're discussing is, both sides of the coin, is the toxic feminine and the toxic masculine. Now, I know that the toxic masculine has been given a lot of attention, and especially with the Me Too movement and a lot of things like that. And we have a lot of sympathy for women who are in those situations. And so it just, but the thing is, you guys, there's narcissists and cluster B personalities and people who are con artists on. It's not a gender, like it's on both sides of the fence.
Women are sharky. Whew.
Yeah.
And so
Toxicity is not gender.
talking about this is just finding our way out of the dark. We have a lantern, and together by shining the light on some of these truths, we can possibly turn the corner as a group, as a society, you know. So thank you so much again. I appreciate y'all so much. You have no idea.
We love
Oh
you
my
so
God.
Yeah, thanks for
Yeah.
having us.
Yeah, you're great.
You know, I might say it's easy. The easy path is to blame.
Oh, absolutely.
It's her fault. She did this. He did this. She did this.
The victim mentality.
Yeah, and to fight back, and I think, I speak for myself, I went through that phase, where it was just all I knew. If you attacked me, I'm gonna attack you back. You know, it's just it was childish. I wasn't awake to the fact that, look, if she's the problem, then I'm fucked. Like, because I can never solve her.
Right.
You know, or him or whomever. You know, if they're the problem, then I'm doomed. And I think you have to flip the script, and I have to ask myself, like, you know, one time, you know, why do I keep continuing to interact with people who repetitively say or do negative things to me?
That's really interesting
wow.
because hearing from a male perspective,
Yeah.
you know, because for like toxic femininity, which I have struggled with, definitely like learning more about it being on a female side, it shows up as being defensive and, you know, being afraid to be vulnerable and always trying to be like super strong and all this. But even in the same token, it still shows up as blaming others. It still shows up as like, I'm not going to take responsibility. And what I think is amazing is that I don't think you can grow past that until, if that is how you are, you know, until you acknowledge that, you know. And it's really tough because I mean, just for me, speaking from my experience, when I'm in that frame of mind, it's like, you know, me against the world, you know, and it's really tough to.
I mean, to double down on that, I think we at least, okay, I can't speak for everyone, have you know, we start having sex and suddenly we're in a relationship. I don't even know who you are. It's like we got it backwards, you know.
Wow.
It's like we just like go out a few dates and we've had some fun and I'm charming and you're charming and we have sex and suddenly it's like, who are you?
She has all these feelings,
You know?
and
You know, like look, now let's get to know each other, you know, and we've got it backwards.
I think that happens a lot in our culture, just with the hookup culture and dating apps, and kind of like it's almost expected that within the first 2 or 3 interactions that you're gonna have sex, or else that implies you're not interested in the person.
Well, sex has totally become a drug itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
become the coping
You know,
mechanism for a lot.
And I feel that at least the partners I've been with have used it, almost weaponized it.
Oh, totally.
Oh,
I think men
yeah.
and women weaponize sex.
And it's like I continue to have to look back at myself though. Like, why is it, you know, like, why does that
Happen.
why?
Well, I
mean,
just like read in the car. I was reading about all of it, you know, and it was saying you are who you attract, which we hear a lot nowadays. Which Fox, that's really big for you, right?
Yeah, no.
It nailed it. I mean, it's like, stop trying to find the right girl, be the right man.
Right,
Yes.
right.
Whoa.
Fix yourself first.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, I think it's awesome because like all these, you know, as the podcasts, you know, keep going and going, I feel like we see all the threads and they just keep intertwining. And even though we might have this topic or that topic, but it's like it still comes to the same issues of like loving yourself and and self-actualization. And so, you know, but I think that's really, really important too is that we shine some light on it, because it's like, one, I don't feel, you know, I really appreciate you being vulnerable, by the way, Michael, and just sharing that with us, because it's a good example for men out there too. And two, men don't really have any support.
No, dude. Here's what men get.
don't
totally
really.
agree.
Man, yeah, she's crazy. I mean, that's all we hear.
That's
we just
it.
Yeah.
And then look, and then
chop
the
it up.
rebuttal, like, yeah, man,
Yeah,
fuck
she's-
her, bro.
she's-
Yeah, man, you want to go out and
Yeah.
you know, go out and get some more and
Yeah.
do
You
the
know,
same
get her,
repetitive
let's
cycle.
just
Fuck
do
it,
this
bro.
again.
Same thing happens on the female perspective too, though. Like, so often you'll go and tell one of your friends, and you'll be like, "Oh, he did such and such," and be like, "Man, fuck him. He's a piece of shit."
Yeah, they turn into man haters.
and then it immediately goes to men ain't shit.
Man.
Yeah.
And it's like, actually, maybe you're just attracting like
Right. Let's-
people who aren't that hot, you know? Like,
Yeah.
that's on you. But I think often people they externalize the problem. That's the same thing you were talking about is like, what's wrong with her? Because when you externalize the problem, then you don't have any culpability.
It's not your responsibility.
Exactly. You don't have to do the
to
work.
Eat your own shit for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And just be like, oh God, I did it to myself.
It is.
Yeah.
The texture's just
The
not
problem
right.
is me.
I attracted this.
Taylor Swift
Right.
is right. Oh my God.
Right.
It's tough. It's tough to figure out to do that work even.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's really tough. That's something even this last year for me, you know, I spent so much time in the adult industry. It's what I knew, but I got involved in the adult industry as like a 17-year-old runaway.
Right.
You know what I mean? I didn't have the support I needed. I had a lot of anger and resentment from my
Right.
parents. You know, they were full-blown addicts, and it was like I ran from a toxic home, and I felt like I was doing the right thing. I mean, I've never returned, and I've made, you know, I've survived. I'm
Right.
here.
Right.
But at the same point in time, it did not come without the baggage, and it really kind of renders its head sometimes. And finally, like, to lay down that ego and be like, okay, the people keep changing, but the scenarios are the same.
Right.
Like,
Well,
Right.
as a man, I mean, listen, we're not getting this guidebook, but we're like, it's basically been my experience. You know, we don't share our feelings, we don't cry, we don't just all
The
this
macho man
masculine
mentality,
stuff.
yeah.
And then, you know, I got into a place in life where I was like, that's really not who I am.
This is
exhausting. I was raised by a single mother. I didn't have a male role model, and I know who I am, and I began to get vulnerable. And then the scary thing, or scary, I hate the word scary. It's, the thing is, it seems like when I've become vulnerable with the wrong female.
Right. They take advantage.
It's like
they
it's
weaponize it.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
like it's you know, and it's like it's this battle. It's like be the tough guy, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and keep your mouth shut and
Right.
and
Yeah.
provide and you know
Right.
Yeah.
or tell her when you do this it makes
me feel like
this.
this.
We
Yeah.
say that's what we want, and then we don't respond that well.
So you get it,
being
but
called
then after
out.
a while,
Yeah.
it becomes not what you want.
So I think
Right.
it's
Yeah.
mixed messages. Like I think we got to like, I don't know what we got to do, but I kind of, what do y'all really want? I mean, that's the confusing part. Maybe that's what we need to talk about.
This is what we're struggling with: is what do we want, right? And I think, at least me personally, and it sounds like you're in the same situation, and I know you were at Fox. Like, so many people from our generation didn't have any healthy relationships to model ourselves off of. So we're just
like
kind of
swinging
like
our
in the
asses.
dark, right? And not just in the not actually in the dark, but like in a room with all the propaganda of like the wrong thing to do blasted in your face everywhere. Like it's
Oh
the
my
right
God.
thing.
And you're lame
right.
if you don't. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're like,
Right.
ew, gross. What? You're not like XYZ.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Ostracized and whatnot.
And you're like,
Yeah.
I don't know, am I or do
Right.
I or
Yeah.
should I or
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
And,
Well, and we kind of glorify, speaking to what you're saying, we kind of glorify the narcissists.
oh, of course.
Like, we
100%.
give them the presidency. Like,
Exactly.
you
Like,
know,
we
give,
say we're against it,
we-
but all the reality is.
I think
and we
that
watch
we're
their
so-
television shows, and we like, you know, yeah.
It's thrown around too much. I mean, I believe that as humans, we're all self-centered. We're all selfish
Selfish by
human
nature.
beings. I mean, that's just by nature. But it's thrown around loosely. Like that's a really kind of a cruel. I mean, if you really look it up, that's a mental illness.
Yeah,
Man,
yeah,
you know,
I agree with you 100%. But the thing is that like when I mean, maybe y'all can please chime in. Like, what would be prime examples of what the toxic feminine looks like? What the toxic masculine looks
Oh,
like?
I got one for you. All right.
Please.
So I got out of a relationship maybe 7 months ago now. You know what I'm saying? It was one of those honeymoon relationships, right? I was in a low place. Pandemic blues, leaving Atlanta, not knowing anybody here, the city being different, you know what I mean? So I was just looking to be with somebody, but I looked at it and I was like, wow, on the other side of this toxic situation, this person would literally tell me that like what I'm doing makes no sense. Like if I'm not getting paid for this, it doesn't make any sense. Or just because I'm getting paid for something that makes sense. They paid no attention to like my moral fiber, like how that made me feel afterwards, what the involvement of me doing this how it would affect me as a person or as my business. It was just about what they knew, you know what I mean? So they weren't ever as Mike was talking about, doing any like reflection on themselves. So they were always putting on to me like what they thought success was, what they thought made sense was, and that
Well, really and truly, that sounds like somebody that was trying to control you.
and that's what I kind of feel like, right?
Which
But
is
I'm in
definitely
here.
Toxic femininity. Like,
Yeah, so like, and it was like, you know, almost like I developed a little bit of imposter syndrome as a result of it, because I'm like, I just did this
kills your
awesome thing.
self-esteem,
I just did this thing where I thought of you, like your personality, who you are as a person, talking about my partner, talking about who she is, and I presented this in a way that, well, I just knew based on who you presented you were to me, that this would not give me some sort of reward or gain, but you would, I love you, right? I care for you, so you would see my admiration or my love language as acts of service, right? I didn't even know what love languages were at the time, but
You're speaking it, baby.
yeah, but when when that wasn't reciprocated, or when I was told that was dumb, or that's feminine, or that's not masculine, I'm like, well, maybe you just didn't get hugs from men.
Yeah.
Maybe men just fucked you, or
Which is back to what I was saying, is that we don't get to know each other. We don't sit down and and what are your values? You know, what before we engage in these relationships.
And that's what I'm saying, because I didn't get hugs from women. I just had that. So like, I'm having to learn in like my adult life, like, hey, this is a safe thing.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't just have to do this. Like I was sharing with you earlier in my private, like being the wingman because I'm a good friend of my partner, and I'm just thrust into these sexual situations because I'm a good friend. But I really don't want to be doing this with her. I don't know her.
That's
And I'm just doing it because I'm a good friend, and like being loyal to the wrong things, not
like,
to me.
ride or die for them. And
Yeah, but I'm killing me though. Like,
Right.
I'll die for you, but I'm literally dying
That's
for.
exactly, yeah. I mean, it's crazy, is I've never heard that from a guy either, you know?
We don't talk
that's
about it.
exactly. I was married for 6 years. My ex-husband was in special ops. And I felt as if it was my duty as his ranger wife to provide whatever it was that was going to satisfy him, because he was the hero and I was the wife. And I was like putting myself in sexual situations. And it's like, yeah, because I did adults, everyone thinks, oh, well, she does adult, you know.
right.
Yeah,
so
they have
she's just
preconceived
out,
notions
like,
or whatever.
you know,
Yeah,
like, doing
yeah.
whatever.
She has no
Yeah.
boundaries.
Right, like it's just a
right.
free for all, and I'm like,
Yeah.
who I am, you know, this persona over here, and how I make money is so opposite.
That's
of
a profession. That's a persona, as you said.
Right,
Yeah.
of like, you know, because it was something that I developed in order to survive. It wasn't who I was, you know. So, but like, I ended up too feeling almost obligated because of those things.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, you know, was leading myself into situations where I was even allowing him to sleep with my friends. And
Yeah.
then it got to a point where, you know, a mutual friend was like, this is fucking crazy. Like,
Yeah, nah.
You're
yeah.
like, doesn't he has to know
Right,
as
yeah.
your husband that this is making you uncomfortable, or that you don't
Right.
like this. So at what point does he start serving you?
Well, so that's like, and that's tough as
Yeah.
like when your love language is like an act of service, or showing, like, you want to show your partner. So it does end up putting you in.
But it's dangerous,
It is
because if
super
you people
dangerous.
please too much, then you
Man.
sell out yourself, and
That
that's
part.
where it gets dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and I think the big thing too, and this is like an issue that like is like the reason why we have homeless, the reason why we have addiction, is that we're not addressing or giving any attention to mental health.
Right.
Or the
Oh,
root
absolutely.
causes and the trauma that you have,
Yeah.
And
as
so
a child, because that
Yeah.
will
It's
literally pattern you for the rest of your life.
It's like please don't leave me or go away.
Abandonment
Yes,
issues.
One or the
exactly.
other. Like,
That-
I'm
don't
not
get
good
too
enough.
close.
Please just think I'm good enough.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That for sure.
Don't
That
talk
for
about the
sure.
problem,
And
because
it's
then
more
there's going to be a
common than
problem.
not.
So
Right.
like, it's all
Especially,
fine.
yeah.
We're fine.
Right.
It's good.
Keep your
Especially
head
for
down
people
and stay
that
out of the way. Like,
haven't done the work, because they say you don't date someone as who they are as an adult. You date their childhood.
Yes.
Yes.
Wait, what? What did
Well,
you say?
no,
I
if
missed
you
that.
haven't
Let's hear that one more
addressed
time.
Yeah,
Oh,
she's sorry.
You don't date when you meet an adult who hasn't done self work.
Right.
You don't date that adult. You date their childhood.
Whoa.
It's so true.
Yeah.
I think we're at least, like, we talk about self-examination. Like, I hope that I'm not the same man I am 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, I hope I continue
Just
to
in
grow and
hoping that, I
evolve,
think,
you
is
know what I mean?
big, though, too.
No, that is.
But
You know.
Yeah.
I see so many guys that are women. Just, this is who I am. Take it or leave it.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
What? Yeah, no. It's
Really?
a bad wind that doesn't change, bro.
No,
Like,
but I'm
everything.
gonna leave it.
There's a new iPhone coming every 6 months, bro. There's new
Right.
styles. Everything has to progress.
Even if they feel that way about themselves, like in nature, there is no stasis. Like you're never the same person tomorrow that you were today. Like they say you can never
Evolution.
jump in the same river twice, right? Because the water's always moving. And in natural, like biological life, there's growth, there's stagnation and there's decay, but there's no just like stasis where everything stays the same. And if you're not growing, you're decaying or you're dying.
Right.
You know, like that's it.
Or you're fighting against it. And
Yes, you're just stagnating where you are, and like, oh my God, why can't
and
I get out of here?
those people are never happy.
No,
they're never having successful relationships. They're usually struggling in their careers.
Yeah.
And externalizing those problems and being like, oh, it's not me, it's you, or whoever you were victimized by, or like your mom or your dad or your ex, you know.
But too, I mean, it's hard work.
Yes.
It's hard work.
Work never stops.
Yeah.
It's tough because you have to get into those parts that originally made you feel bad to begin with, and you have to face those demons, and it's really hard. Like, you know, I was talking about addiction to one of my friends, and we were talking about how, you know, addiction becomes such a coping mechanism for people that go through trauma and stuff like that. And it's because they don't want to feel those feelings. They don't want to deal. No. It's easier.
You're just delaying the inevitable.
Right, exactly.
Even though it hurts to grow and to change, it hurts more not to.
It does.
I think, like, people will do whatever they can to stay in their comfort zone, even if their comfort zone is like getting hit in the face every day by their partner, because they know what's going to happen next.
It's better, but the devil you know. The devil you know is better than the devil you don't.
The chaos. Because like the unexpected is so frightening for so many people, because then you can't be on autopilot. Yeah, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. It takes all your critical reasoning just to make it through every moment.
Man.
So like, there's something about our nature that stops us from taking on something that seems like it's so exhausting, right? But when you see through that, you realize that,
you're living in
the
hell.
release that's going to come. Exactly. You're living in hell, and you don't have to. Like, living in hell is very much a choice. You can live in, you can be in hell in a mansion, or you can be in heaven in a mansion, and you can be in hell in a shack, or you can be in heaven in a shack.
Quality of life, right?
So I wanted to ask y'all a question, if like y'all can recount or give us an example of when you saw a woman just totally mistreating and just being the perfect example of what the toxic feminine looks like.
The toxic feminine.
Depends on how you define that.
I have a good one, but it's kind of more misogyny than toxic femininity, but it came from a woman. And that's like what I mean when I've said that I think toxic femininity and toxic masculinity are the same thing. And like, I was working a show for like a large cosmetics company, and I'm on the production team in a spotlight tower, and their main person asked if I could wear a skirt. And they had to explain to her, like, no, Kaitlyn's going to climb something. You'll be able to see up her skirt. Like, she can't just wear a skirt because she's a woman. And that's coming from a woman. So, I don't know if that really, like, matches what you asked, but that's what came to mind.
No, I mean, you know, it's...
Well, I think that for me, like, what comes to mind when
what makes... So if I understand this correctly, you're saying toxic femininity is when a woman placates or I don't quite understand.
Okay, well, so
start there.
So that's beautiful.
What is toxic femininity,
because
you know?
my take was, you were talking about just toxicity in general, and my understanding of toxic femininity is when a woman does the social mores and the things that are supposed, like wear a skirt and be seen not heard and all this kind of old school nonsense.
So for me, when I think of toxic femininity or toxic masculinity, like, I guess traditionally for the masculinity, it's like, you know, seeing my mom get beat as a little girl,
right?
You know, watching someone, you know, control another person, you know, or outright like lying and trying to, you know, ruin someone's life. I knew this girl who laughed about how she accused this guy that she was dating of rape and got him thrown in jail, and the whole thing was a lie. That is toxic femininity.
Yeah.
Like, when you have these sociopaths or these pathological liars that are just running rampant and allowed to abuse you, and I, you know, and I think that, I mean, I've seen it from both sides. I've seen it where the man, you know, are harming women physically and emotionally and spiritually, but I've seen it too where men are, you know, their bank accounts are drained and they're left pennilessly.
And don't even get to see their kids.
And they don't get to see their kids.
Or they're weaponized with their children.
Yes.
I think at the end of the day, what it really comes down to is reducing somebody to what they have to give you and using force to control and manipulate them. And whether it's toxic femininity or toxic masculinity just depends on where it's coming from or who's committing it. But I think at the end of the day, we're describing the same thing when we talk about either one. They're the same phenomenon.
I think it's just society that that makes it
that puts us in the little boxes.
Right,
and says,
right.
You're this and you're
right.
that.
Because when I remember when I was 5 years old, me and my female cousin, we had the same scenario going on.
Right.
Our ice cream cones fell. She cried, I cried. I got a whooping and told not to cry. She got bought a whole nother ice cream cone.
Yep.
And then I couldn't even go to the birthday party the next day because
you
I wasn't,
cried.
And I'm like, bro, I'm a little boy. What are you talking about? But I found out later that was because my cousin was jealous of my parents because of socioeconomics. I was the kid, you know what I'm saying? So that was stuff that was being put on to me as a kid.
Right.
But I developed not issues, but I was like, well, it's not going to be fair for me. So I accepted that early on in life, right? So I've had to learn as a productive man not to have a defeatist mindset, not to be like, it's just going to be like that. Be like, well, it's really not. So, you know what I mean? So that's like me healing my child, you know what I mean?
The male ego it fascinates. Mine's
It's fragile as hell, too.
It's fragile, but I mean, the arrogance.
Crazy.
So I repetitively have seen quote unquote red flags with women and be like, I can manage this. Or
like I got this.
Women do the same thing. We're like, I can fix that.
Or really, if I get real, that was just me being funny. It's like, but there's so much good, and I want so desperately for someone to give me grace, and so I buy into this belief that it was a one-off, and all is forgiven.
They'll do the same thing for me that I would do for them.
Right.
But that's so untrue. Not to say that you're not have to do with being evenly yoked, but like, bro, I'm me.
But once I have a discussion with you, like if I hurt your feelings, which I'm likely to do at some point in time. Not because I'm a bad human being, because I'm human.
Right.
And we have a conversation about it, and I own it, and we're good. What I found with some women who I think believe to be toxic are, while we have that conversation, it's not forgotten. And it's like stored in a vault. To be brought out at a later date.
Oh, ammunition.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Whereas whenever I have a conversation and it's done, it's done. It's like I don't log in a journal to be used 6 months from now.
I think men and women do that though, just depending on who you are. Because I've had that done to me too. Yeah. Where you think
men
you're
are
through
definitely
something.
like move and like that. I think that's how men move. And with females, it's more like I feel.
Yeah.
So much of what we deal with, and they're like, God, you're crazy. And it's like, if you could deal or had to sit with this emotional state,
the things I don't say.
Yeah.
And see, that's tough, right? And I appreciate you so much for being transparent with that, because it's tough for me, because I'm like, I can be presented information and I can tell you, okay, well, that's not going to work with our situation if we're cohabitating or we're sharing like certain things, responsibility, obligations. Well, that's not going to work. And then because I just said it's not going to work, automatically I'm insensitive and I'm super sensitive. I'm really trying to save you all this anguish and all these other emotions that may or may not happen, to let you know that, hey, it's not going to work, but I'm here to help you come up with other solutions that work within the confines of your reality and mine. But when it's like, hey, I can't really speak about that, then it's like, well, what do I do?
Or you get shut down.
You get shut down, bro. So then it's like, well, no, you got it.
Yeah, it's so true too. And the other thing that I was thinking about with the toxic femininity and all of that is that so often too, it shows up, I think more so even when girls gang up on other girls.
Yes.
I see that.
Where they start slut shaming and body shaming, and it becomes a super, like, a female that's very judgmental is definitely in her toxic femininity, when she's just rigid. And, I think of someone that's very feminine to be graceful and compassionate and kind and patient, and, and so anything that's going to be on the opposite of that spectrum is definitely going to be fit that toxic femininity.
So we got to talk about, where are we shopping? Like if I'm at the strip club, I mean, I'm at the strip club. If
Right.
I'm at the
There you
nightclub,
go.
I'm at the
There
nightclub.
you go.
Yeah.
Honestly, you might be better. You might be easier to find a nice girl in the strip club.
No, I really have.
Yeah.
I was gonna speak on that. I really, because it's all out in the open. It's all out in the open.
And the girl
Yeah,
at the
It's all out in
nightclub.
the. It's like,
The girl
hey.
in the nightclub just wants her free drinks.
That's
You know,
it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's what
Wow.
I'm saying. Like, that's
Toxic
part of the
femininity.
mixed
I'm sorry,
message
you
that I
guys.
think men receive. Like, so prior to me, I guess, waking up or starting to look at myself, I was just a party boy, and I made money, and I went out and did my thing, and I had a lot of fun, and had no problem attracting women.
Yeah, no.
But as soon as I began this spiritual journey,
Bruh, it got tough.
it got tough.
They were
I was like, bro, what
I am
happened?
friend zone Mike.
Bro, I can't do it
They're like,
anymore.
you feel like work.
Not even work. It's almost like, bro, like
They're not there yet.
I was
probably.
unaware of all these things, and now that I'm aware and I'm becoming better, it's like,
You want a high value women, and high value women take real
yeah,
effort.
Yeah.
And I think that
Yeah.
definition changes.
They want real time
And
from
talk
you.
is
They
cheap.
want
Yeah.
real effort from you.
And I've been a toxic, like as far as toxic masculine that I've brought to the table, like, man, jealousy that stems from me feeling inadequate in a financial space. Okay, yeah, whatever BBC and all that, whatever accolade status and all that, but like, shit, bro. His credit score is 850, and he's got a McLaren. And like,
Right.
I'm a good guy, and I've got status over here in these realms, but like, bro, my credit score is not that, and it's like this. So then you work with him, and he's your supervisor. So now I'm making you feel insecure about it. I'm having you text me and let me know. I'm really micromanaging you, right? On some, I'm like, text me, I'm playing it under the
me
guise
feel
of like,
better.
make sure you're safe. Playing for a rainy day, so I can be like, hey, let me know when you make it there, because it's dangerous outside. You know, or like, hey,
time the
oh, you're
next
not
time you
coming
tell
over?
me.
Yeah, that type shit. So then I look at myself and I'm like, bro, this is not who
gotta
we
chill.
want. Yeah, this is not who we want to be, because I can't handle the reciprocal of that. Being a photographer, videographer, fashion person, like working in the adult industry on an amateur basis, like building that, like, you just can't. You just can't expect those same expectations. So I said, that's not fair. So I found that like I'm being unfair and I'm being toxic and I'm projecting things that I wish somebody would never do to me. So it's almost like a sabotage, right? Like I'm not who I want. I love her, and I'm aware of all the other men that she can essentially be attached to, right? Yeah. But I'm punishing her because I really want her to go away because I love her and I don't feel well enough.
Never is gonna work.
No, not at all. Not
Never
at all.
works.
Yeah,
It
I never knew
creates
that
a really
though.
unhealthy dynamic of resentment.
Yeah. And I had to apologize to her because I'm like, I recognize that I did damage to you. I am sorry.
Yeah.
Hurt people. I was
so
super
great
hurt.
that you did that though, because it can I mean, I don't want to get in her head or whatever, but you don't even know if she had been able to process it at that point and have somebody reach out to you kind of unprompted and be like, hey man, I don't really think that was like the best look. I'm sorry, you know, can help them be like, oh, maybe that wasn't the best look. Like maybe that's what's been bothering me.
Yeah.
So way to go.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate it.
And also too, it's like, you know, from an energetic perspective, like when we're doing those kinds of things, when we're like, it's also very repelling to that other person too. Like, you know, like we want, like, again, what is that healthy alpha male? And I think that you can have a healthy alpha male energy and still be in touch with your feelings and still be vulnerable and still like be allowed to cry and get things up. And I'm just so proud of you guys, by the way, because it's so important for our audience, other men, to know, like, hey, I made a mistake. I'm owning my stuff. And, you know, hey, guess what? I was a victim to female toxicity. And, hey, like, you know, that is where the real growth is. And we are...
But I created it, though, as well. I mean,
we got to take responsibility.
Yeah, I did that. I did that.
I wonder why, you know, some days on the flip side, I'm only good for money. Well, yeah, you just kept buying gifts and it showed off and running. I made myself that.
Yeah.
Dude, this is such a... We need another hour, y'all guys. We
You know,
really,
Part
really,
two. Part two.
And-
We're going to have a part
you
two.
know,
We're going to have a part two.
Yeah.
And, you know, if I'm in trouble, I send the flowers. I buy the rings. I do the diamonds. I do whatever it is. Whatever it takes, just don't leave me.
Just don't
And
leave.
sometimes that's easier too. It's easier to like even if it's not like a buying things, it's easier for me to like make you your favorite meal and do whatever you want than it is to like sit down and have that difficult conversation. And oftentimes I find that people will have the conversation with you until you get to the part that's hard. And then a
yes.
lot of people will like shut that conversation down, and they'll be like,
Or
"I'm
all of
not
a
doing
sudden
this with
they
you."
flip it.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
and they just start totally like coming
They
at
go
you.
into defense of themselves.
Where I've failed is I haven't asked, how can I help you? I just assume I know how to fix it.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, Mr. Problem Solver,
Yeah.
Mr. Fix It, yeah.
And then like
Yeah.
be mad that it's not what they wanted.
Right,
Well,
or,
you
or
know-
that they don't respect the energy you put into it. Like, I did it
Right.
just the way I know how to do it. Well, that's not how I'm broken, though.
You know?
Or not broken, but that's
That's not what I need.
It
That's
doesn't
not what I
speak to
need.
me, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is, another thing that's really important is that like this generation coming up, right? Like they some of them did not get the best examples, and so it's like and
Yeah,
now
I
they're just
definitely
stuck
did
on
not.
their phone, dude. And so it's like we are having these conversations, breaking open these topics are so important for the young men and the young women that are coming into this world.
Yeah.
So it's just thank you so much, guys. Like really, oh my God, like I'm just blessed to have all of you in my life. Like
Aw.
I feel like wow, and like that's my whole desire and role in this world is to lift and raise all of you up. And I know that I also have to do that for myself too, is like knowing that I'm also worthy of that love and letting everyone else know that y'all are worthy of that love. But like the work never stops.
Yeah.
The work never stops. It's always something that you're working into, and I'm proud of y'all.
I'm proud of you.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
I have found that if you're in pursuit of happiness or in pursuit of the right woman, you'll almost get there. You'll get so close, and then something will escape you. But when you sit still, if you sit still, it seems like that's when the powerful stuff happens.
Because you're sitting with yourself.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to fix this with you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
You got to be whole going in. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I
and-
still do some shopping. You know what I mean?
Nah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, we're human and we're not perfect, and we're figuring it out
Thank
as we
God
go.
for that.
And sometimes all you can do is recognize what it is, so that you don't repeat it with your children, and you take a breather and you relax sometimes, and you want to make the effort to educate yourself and to change, so that you can break those generational curses of just passing on the same avoidance of
And consider
intimacy.
this: if you got everything you wanted right now, boom, all of it. Now what?
Yeah,
Right.
Right.
Now what?
What would you work
Now
for?
what?
Now
would you-
what?
Like then what do you want?
Yeah, or look forward to. Or,
Well, and
yeah.
it's so
So
important.
it's-
Oh, sorry. Fox.
No, guys.
No,
So
you-
we have we're about to wrap up, y'all guys, and I really want to end with our audience on a high note. So if there's any personal advice, anything that you've done for your own self to really either be aware of the toxic masculine or aware of the toxic feminine, like advice that you'd like to give to our audience in terms of like,
I'll go first.
go
Yeah.
ahead.
All right, so biggest thing, so not to contribute to the toxic masculinity in the universe, work on yourself, bro. Like, it's not anyone's fault. You are the Calvary. Like, heal yourself. It's okay. They didn't know. They did the best they could. You know what I'm saying? It didn't really come with anything. Forgive them, not for them, but for you. And even if it's not like, the deep down one, just do it for a surface and then you can build off of that. And then once you get more skills, go for it and align yourself with like minds. It really does matter.
Yeah.
It will be lonely for a little bit. That's part of it, though. That lonely stuff, that's really the part where you're working on you. It can't happen until you get lonely. So when you're lonely, you're on the way.
On the right
You're on your
track.
way when you're lonely.
Yes,
That's what I got.
Amy.
Something that I just really have been paying more attention to is really how I feel when I interact with certain people, like, or when somebody says
Listening to
something to me
this.
and I was in a toxic relationship and I got to a point where I was like, physiologically, everything was firing off. I was stressed. I felt overwhelmed. I was anxious all the time in that energy with him. And I was like, this is supposed to be my peace. This is supposed to be my support. This is supposed to be where my safe place to land.
sanctuary.
Like, why do I feel like I have to carry a sword with you? Why do I feel like I can never let down my shield completely? And, and I think that's the big thing, especially for, women and men that have been through trauma and abusive relationships as children even. It's really hard to sometimes take that armor off and realize that, one big thing that I've really been working on is checking back in with myself and telling myself it's okay, like, you're safe. Like, people can't hurt you anymore. Like, it's not, you're okay, you're safe, you're an adult now. Like, no one's here to tell you, no one's here to force you, no one can control you. Like, you are in control of yourself. And, you know, and operating from there. And what's crazy is that you would think it would make me more rigid, but instead it's made me more graceful because I'm more calm. I feel safe. I feel secure in myself.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Amy. Thank you. And Kaitlynn.
I would just say to learn to love yourself.
Wow.
Because you can't give something like that you don't have.
Yeah.
So if you don't love yourself, you can't love other people as much as you want to. Of course, everybody wants to love and be loved. But it'll never happen until you love yourself. And that means not just accepting yourself, but loving your flaws and your struggle and your journey, you know, and understanding that it's just a day-by-day process of getting better and learning to love yourself more and more. So
Thank you so much, Kaitlynn.
I
Michael.
would,
Best
I
for
would,
last.
I would, I would,
Best for
I
last.
would definitely, you know, a life of self-reflection. There is a moment where your gut tells you you shouldn't do this. You're not into this girl.
Yeah.
This is low frequency. This is. I know I don't care for this. Like you know.
Yeah.
You just know.
Yeah,
That
you
inner
know.
voice.
And
yeah.
that inner voice, that calm voice, and the more times that you act with integrity with yourself, you'll know it and you'll appreciate it. And it's like I was given an exercise one time that said, write down what does your perfect mate look like, you know, not physically, and wrote all this stuff down. And I was told, go be that.
that's a great
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
That's
Go
really
be
good
that.
advice. Yeah.
You want a loyal woman? Be loyal.
Be
Right.
loyal.
You want an honest woman? Be honest.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
are what you attract.
That's it.
Oh, I am eternally blessed and just grateful for this beautiful podcast, y'all guys, Holistic Love. And, you know, the thing is, we are changing the paradigm, having these conversations right now, really shifting the perspective of the world, and you, ladies and gentlemen, are the catalyst. You can. Everything starts with yourself, right? And I will say this again and again and again. When one of us rise, we all rise. When you do the work, when you love yourself, oh my God, you are making it happen. You are making it happen. And I'm telling you this, but I know that I also have to do this too. You know, it's like I'm not perfect as well. Like, yeah. I mean, you are talking to very authentic people here. Like these we're in it with you. We are
Work
in it.
in progress.
That,
It really
that
does
part.
matter what
Yeah,
you do
for
when
sure.
no one's looking.
Yeah.
I think it matters
Integrity,
the
yeah.
most what you do
Yeah.
when no one is
100%.
looking.
That's who you
Yeah.
are. That's who you are for real.
Well, then you
Yeah.
have your standard. Like, do you have a standard as a person? And do you hold yourself to that standard? And
Yes.
then you'll find other people with standards. And that's
And
nice.
I think that's true. And it's like
Yeah.
the more you show up, the way you tell yourself you're going to show up, the more you build that self-worth. Because
Yes.
if you sell yourself out every time you set your
Wow. Oh my God, Amy, that just hit me like a ton of rocks.
Shout out to Amy.
Right over and
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
Dang, and that rang so true for my heart right then. Oh my God.
Well, guys, it looks like we're gonna have to have a part 2.
Yeah, part two.
Yeah,
Part
for
two.
sure.
Please don't give up my number.
I want to thank you so much, y'all guys, for tuning in, for being here, for listening, and just
Thank you
just
for having
know that you are all worthy of healthy divine love.
God bless.
All right.